YouTube, I've probably titled this video something like Guitar Haul. So what happened was on Saturday night there, I was over at my pal's house till late in the morning watching the volcano, which I've been watching a little bit. The Saturday night volcano was awesome, then after that it's nothing like it. You had to be there on the Saturday night volcano when it was awesome. So I didn't get back in till like 3 in the morning, and had a message from my pal Cameron, who just lives up the road, saying, look at this, a guy selling 10 electric guitars for cheap. And I looked through them, and there was 3 out of the 10 that I thought, yeah, there were a few sort of really shitty looking ones. Not shitty, but ones that are probably on the verge of, basically ones they weren't really good enough to be Buckycasters. Is it CB Sky? And there was actually quite a nice looking Honor Arbor series one, but it had the bridge. You know, the bridge that I'm always, it's normally sitting there. The one that's kind of looks like a West Tone Bandmaster. That kind of bridge. And yes, if you get like a West Tone, which has got almost exactly the same shaped bridge on it. Brilliant bridge. But see, so many copies, including BC Rich, and the Honors were bad for it, Marlins were bad for it. And it's just crap. It's like the block is made, it's just quite complex. So it's like the actual block has bits in it with springs that hold things in, and like wee bits that hold the fine tuner stuff. So it's not like just a solid metal block. It's like it's got some complexity to it, and they make it out of really, really cheap metal, so they're just broken. Very similar to, it's a completely different design, but the Washburn of a certain era have that, like the mid 80s ones. My Black Hawk still had it on it, and my Tour 24 had been long replaced with a Floyd Rose. The ones that are in the Washburns are quite, very little modifications needed to put a Floyd Rose in, though. The holes just, you have to shave off a couple of mil, so you don't need a Dremel or anything like that. Just if you've got like a nail file or like those wee emery board things, sit one of them 10 minutes, you'll get it fit. And it's like the Floyd Rose fits in, but when you bend it, the actual block bit rubs against the side, so you need to file a little bit of the body away to get them to fit. Yeah, and as I said, there was 3 in there, and then because it was 3 in the morning, I was like, well, I'm not going to message someone at 3 in the morning. And in the morning when I woke up, I'd kind of forgotten about it, and I got a photo from Cameron going, what do you think? And he showed it was the boot of his car, and he'd bought 3 guitars, and my comment was, alright, yeah, totally. There was 3 guitars that I would have picked out of the 10 the guy had, and you've picked 2 of them. The one you didn't pick was the Squier Mini, and Cameron's like, up here, well, I'm still actually outside the guy's house. Do you want me to go in and get it for you? It's up here. So, Squier Mini, and cheers, Cameron, for that. That's awesome. It's fine. The tuners on it, but I don't know. It's hard you can't really judge these things. Apparently, the story is the guy, I think it was his dad or his uncle, had died and has basically had 20 guitars, 10 electrics and 10 acoustics, and they were all sort of. No, there was no Fenders or Gibsons or anything like that. They're all modestly cheap ones. I'd imagine probably found on Gumtree and eBay in the last 10 years, most of them, sort of thing. Sort of enthusiast. The strings on this are backwards and they're ancient. They must be 10 years old, but it's actually working. So I'm using this. I've just had a message from Cameron saying, is there anything he needs to buy other than strings for his 3 guitars? This is not one of his 3 guitars. This is the one that I got. So mini Buckycaster on the way. Funny pickups going in it, something like that, not really decided. They're pretty good. It's a 23-inch scale, these. So, like a Dual Sonic, the original was a 22.5, so it totally holds normal tuning with, well, I'm going to put 10s on it without having a problem. Maybe strings will be slightly bendy. I think it's got 9s on it just now. I'd maybe put 10s on it, but it's not like a huge difference. There is a point where, a Fender's 25.5, a Gibson's 24 3/4. The Bullet Mustangs are 24, so they're slightly short, and this is 23, so it's a little bit, but not a massive thing for being a smaller guitar. It's actually, the body's actually very similar to my Squier Bullet, but it's full scale. There's a hardtail, 3 pickups, 5-way switch, volume and tone. It's a good one. Let's have a look. So this is the one that I chose. So out of the 3 ones that I thought were good, that was one of the ones that I thought, yes, this is one of the ones I didn't think was good. So this is a Swift. The action on it is ginormous. I am going to, just because Cameron's my pal, I'm going to have a go at trying to see what it is that's wrong with it. Well, the truss rod is miles out, but I think that's going to need shimmed as well, without spending any great money. And it's also had a headstock break at some point and been painted. So this one was made. This wasn't one of the ones. There was a few kind of this sort of. I've had a Swift before, and then that was the one that was a blonde Les Paul, and I suppose I'll plug it in, make sure see if it actually makes any sound. Cameron did ask me if there was any parts needed. Well, the pickups work, but when the action on this is unbearably high. I didn't know that. Obviously, you can't tell that. It was just one photo sitting there, just that I've had a Swift before. Swift are pretty much in my category of don't really buy them. Even if it's really cheap. But I suppose if someone had said, this is like a tenner or something, do you want this? It's like a tenner. Okay, yeah, I'd be able to make it work. But once you start getting up to, it's like 40 quid. Unless someone like me had totally done it up, you could probably make it play. So just a wee bit of the warning again, if you're buying a guitar on Gumtree of someone who doesn't really know anything. This guy was just selling off his uncle's guitars or his dad's guitars, so basically just now piece of shit, really. I'll be able to make it work a bit though. I'll have a wee go at shimming the neck and see if the truss rod works and stuff like that, which it probably will. I'll be able to make it play, but it'll never be brilliant. Yeah, so I just ditch that one. And then this one I would have bought because of the price. This is actually in better condition than I did a review of one of these, and it was Cameron's, the Bronze Series Warlock. This is actually quite a heavy guitar. Maybe that's because that Swift was dead light. I'm just going to make sure it works. He was just asking me if he needed any parts other than strings. No, it's working. Right, it's got a total backbow on it. So I'm assuming the truss rod's over tightened in this. I hope that's what's wrong with it. That's just the next. When I say straight, it's not twisted side to side, but it's like that. So somebody's had a go at the truss rod and gone, oh, dunk, 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 dunk. Yeah, so it doesn't really need anything. This is ready to go. I will sort it so the truss rod works and stuff like that. So all it needs is strings. But I'm not really going to bother reviewing this one because it's basically the same as the one I did, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. I do like. I don't think his one was as heavy as this. I don't know if the number on the back means anything for the year, but this is a heavy guitar. But for the price it was, because these used to be cheap. I've had a few of these over the years. I bought one for 20 quid, and all that was wrong with it was the screws that hold the humbuckers up. They weren't there, so the humbuckers were sitting in the back. I just had to buy the actual screws to screw the pickups. And that was it, 20 quid. But now, if you look these up on eBay, something to do with BC Rich, because I think they stopped making cheap guitars maybe 4 or 5 years ago when the company kind of went bust and got bought over by somebody else. And the new ones look amazing, but they're thousands of pounds. I did a video with Scott again. Went to Merchant City, and they had an Ironbird and a couple of Mockingbirds, and these things looked amazing. They've gone for the full through neck and all that stuff. They look amazing. They don't do these budget ones. BC Rich kind of killed their reputation in the sort of the 90s and the 2000s at the start, like the 70s and the 80s, the 70s especially. They were hand built. First with the through necks and the multiple pickup combination switches and active preamps and stuff like that, amazing. And then they moved on to making the import ones from Japan. The first couple of years of them are fantastic guitars, but they look like this, so they're not the fancy wood, they're just kind of like a solid black or a solid yellow or whatever colour they are, but top quality guitars. And then later on in the 80s they got cheaper, but they were still expensive, and then by the time it got to the 90s they were producing new ones, and they made so many cheaper ones that whenever you looked up BC Riches on eBay and stuff like that, they were always £100, even because new they were only 150 for like any of the shapes and stuff, and the Platinum series and all that. But I do like these. It's a pretty much honest little guitar. Actually, even pretty rarely for one of these, the head, okay, it's slightly chipped. The headstock's only slightly chipped. That's the Kangaroo Bollocks headstock. Yeah, and then here's the one that if Cameron had bought this, I totally would have. Yeah, you see what it is yet? It's a quomaster custom. Yeah, it's really light. So Tanglewood are pretty good anyway, but it's actually a quomaster. So this is like Francis Rossi's telly, I suppose. I've not kind of tempted to. I might even try and tune this one now. It doesn't seem to be too bad. Yes, I'm wearing flares. I'm practicing for the gig because I'm in a Black Sabbath band playing on Saturday night. So the guitarist wears flares. I'm thinking, well, we're Black Sabbath. I'll dig my flares out. But I think this was the pick of the 10. What we're done? What the hell have I done here? E, A, D, G. It's only got 5 strings on it. So what's going on? It's only got 5 strings, so maybe I won't bother trying to play any status quo on it. Yeah, working fine. Even plays pretty well considering these strings are probably the same age as the guitar. Yeah, so I find this quite interesting. I would totally have nabbed this. Like Garden Shed Green. I would be tempted to though make it like Francis Rossi's one, because really it's just green, but it's got like a perloid scratch plate, and it's like Francis Rossi's doesn't have a perloid scratch plate. His has. It depends when you look at it. It kind of evolved over the years, but for me, I remember seeing Quo, it had like Strat pickups, like lace sensor ones. I wouldn't put lace sensors on it. I would buy lace sensor looking pickups. You can buy, the white poleless covers for a couple of pounds off eBay. I'd put Strat pickups in it, or maybe leave the bridge. Also, his has at some point it's had different bridges on it. So this bit here has been angle grinded off, so the bridge pickup's sitting in a metal plate that's been cut, and then it's got like a separate bridge sitting behind it. I'd probably do that, and it's got a hole drilled in it, like a hole the size of a 10p piece drilled through it. I'd possibly do that as well to make it a bit more Quo. But I mean, it seems like Telecasters are always nice. I mean, and I like this the way it is, especially the way it actually says Quomaster Custom in the headstock. I suppose Status Quo probably don't have any. They've probably got the rights to the name Status Quo, but they probably have no rights to call it a Quomaster. And really, apart from being a green Telecaster and it says Quomaster on it, it's like, well, I wish more people would do stuff like that. Well, I suppose that they can't. Like producing guitars, it's not exactly a. I don't know, because I can imagine something. I think Fender actually did do a proper run, because I built one for my wee brother at one point, and I had a magazine that had the official Status Quo Fenders in it, and the green one didn't look like Francis Rossi's. It was like matte green, like solid colour, and it's like, whereas this one has that painted with shed paint look about it. It's too shiny, but it's it's got that sort of garden shed wall look, which Francis Rossi's one did have. Whatever it's made of, 1, 2, at least 4 or 5 pieces of whatever this is, but it's light and a nice wee Telecaster. I'd be tempted to keep this as a keeper for myself, to be honest. Rock on. So cheers, Cameron. And no, you don't need any parts. Nothing. Maybe get a knob for the The Swift. I'll have a blast at the Swift and see if I can make it. See if I can make it less shit, make it play. It's like it's just Swift. It's like I've got brands I will go for and brands I will kind of shy away from. One of the ones I kind of shy away from are Swift. They're just a little bit too cheap. Who else? No, it's not terrible. It's not the worst guitar in the world. The worst guitar in the world is Bowwood, not Bowwood, Westwood, not Westfield and not Eastwood. Westwood, that Iron Brew one that I had to smash up, which it couldn't be made into a guitar. It was nothing, and I keep seeing that with so many different brands on it. You buy them, you can get them in shops that generally aren't guitar shops for like around about Christmas time for like, I don't know, like £100 with a wee tiny amp and like a bag and a book, like a leaflet on how to play the guitar. If you're a rock star, it'll have like a fancy box with like graphic, not a cardboard, like a cardboard box, but with like pictures on it and people, oh, and folk doing, and it's like, and those guitars are just pish, really not worth honestly anything. I've got one through there, I can't remember what brand it is, that I don't even want to give to somebody. I feel it's my duty to take it out of circulation so that some kid or anyone who's, that would be a kid, thinks, I'll have a wee shot at buying a guitar. Oh, there's a nice looking Stratocaster, I'll buy that and I'll learn to play it. And you never learn to play because the thing doesn't play. You can get it to the point of, if it was Mad Max time, we're kind of getting there, but you know, you're out in the jungle, or there's been a nuclear apocalypse and that's the only thing you've got, you could make it play to the point where someone like me, who's good at playing crap guitars, could have a campfire sing-along on it. That's all it will do. It'll never be better than that. It'll never be in any way good. It'll always have just too cheap, but not this one. So, good one. The bronze, awesome. The Swift, even just feeling it, it's crap. But I'll be able to make it play. And then the wee mini Squier, it's a Squier, it's fine. The only thing I'm really not sure about is the tuners, but the strings on it look absolutely ancient, and the top three are wrapped from this side, and then the bottom three are wrapped from this side. So I mean, that could be why they're not really seem to be doing anything. But sometimes with these tuners, the sort of the cheapy type, you can. They're not really that wobbly. Maybe just a case of taking the back cover off, bit of WD-40, put it back on again, to make them work a bit better. This one's maybe just. I think this is more neglect than misuse. Is why this one's a bit dirty. Yeah, rock on.